Gentlemen, my name is Satria and I'll be the MC of MIAI webinar. First and foremost, all praises to Allah that we are able to attend to the seminar this morning. Alhamdulillah. May salawat and salutation for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who has passed us torch of salvation to the end of our time, inshallah. Next, I would like to welcome Professor Ahmad Yusuf, Associate Professor Nur Hamimi Zainuddin, and Professor Hilman Latif as the speakers, as well as all online participants that have joined us in this morning. Today, several agendas have been arranged as follows. First one is the opening. Second one is Holy Quran recitation. Number 3 is the welcoming speech by the head of committee, Mr. Muhammad Naim Majid, followed by the speech by the director of postgraduate program of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Mr. Sri Atmaja. After that, we are going to the main session. First presentation by Professor Ahmad Yusuf. Second presentation by Associate Professor Nur Hamimi Zainuddin. And the third presentation by Professor Hilman Latif, respectively. And it all will be guided by the moderator, Mr. Shifa Amin Witikdo. In the 7th session, we are going to have Q&A session, guided by the moderator too. After that, we will have the closing statements by the speakers.
Kok di sini bisa di kok nggak bisa ya? Nggak ada ininya.
Pardon? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yes,
And next and last, we will have the closure of webinar and also photo session. Without further ado, we will begin this event by reciting basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Thank you. Next, we will have Quran recitation by Mr. Umurdin Shafrandi Tuanani. The time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون قل سيروا في الأرض فانظروا كيف كان عاقبة الذين من قبل كان أكثرهم مشركين فأقم وجهك للدين القيم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا مرد له من الله يومئذ يصدعون من كفر فعليه كفره ومن عمل صالحا فلأنفسهم يمهدون ليجزي الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات من فضله إنه لا يحب الكافرين صدق الله العظيم. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Masya Allah, may Allah bless us in our lifetime. Okay, for the next session, there will be first welcoming speech from the head of the committee, Mr. Muhammad Naim Majid. Mr. Majid, the floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihil amin nabiyina Muhammadin sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in amma ba'd. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Honorable the Director of Postgraduate Program University Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Bapak Insinyur Sri Atmaja P. Roshidi, ST, MSc, PhD, PPM, Honorable HOD of Master of Islamic Studies Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Bapak Dr. Muhammad Samsuddin, MPD, Honorable all speakers, Professor Dr. Ahmad A. Yusuf from Sultan Syarif Ali Islamic University, Unissa, Brunei Darussalam, Associate Professor Dr. Nur Hamimi bin Zainuddin from Islamic Science University of Malaysia, USIM, and Professor Hilman Latif, MA, PhD from Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Indonesia. And all participants, it's a great pleasure for me to welcome all of you. Thank you for the time. Thank you for making the time to participate in our webinar today. Well, as we know, 2 days ago, 17th of August 2020, is Independence Day for our beloved country, Indonesia. So in this good opportunity, I would like to invite all of you to thank Allah who has given us mercy and blessing so we can meet together virtually and you are in the best of health and iman. Then salawat and salam to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the last messenger, and there is no doubt about it. On behalf of our head of department, Master Program of Islamic Studies, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Bapak Dr. Samsuddin, MPD, and I am Muhammad Naim Majid, and also my partner, Dr. Asam Syukur. We would like to welcome all of you to this prestigious webinar, international webinar about Islamic overview on the policy of governance in dealing with pandemic experiences and comparative studies between Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei Darussalam. I strongly believe that Allah burdens not anyone beyond his or her capacity. La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. So how we overcome our difficult days, how to deal with the unpredictable changes, and how to break the chain, the spread of the COVID-19. So maybe we need the the right certainty and honesty. Maybe we need the right way and strategy, or maybe we need the more real integrity and unity. And Islam always encourages us to keep moving forward and grow in the balance of life. Now, today is going to be a great day because we're able to enrich our insight and knowledge regarding to the term of webinar. Well, I close my words by saying, don't start your day until you have it finished on paper first. Don't leave the Zoom until you get the point first. Thank you for joining our webinar today. May Allah bless us. May Allah bless our webinar. And Nasrun minallah wa fathun qarib wa bashiril mu'minin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for Mr. Majid. Now, please welcome second welcoming speech from the Director of Postgraduate Program of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Mr. Sri Atmaja. Mr. Atmaja, the floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Salatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi surah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa muddatam bi lisani yafqahu qawli. Good morning, everyone. Honorable speakers, Professor Ahmad F. Yusuf from Sultan Sharif Ali Islamic University, Brunei Darussalam. Honorable Speaker, Associate Professor Nur Hamimi Zainuddin from University Sains Malaysia. Honorable Speakers, Professor Hilman Latif from Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Honorable Head and Secretary of Study Program, Department of Master of Islamic Studies, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. Respected Head and Secretary Committee, Dr. Naim and Dr. Azam. Distinguished guests, dear students and ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of School of Postgraduate Studies, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, welcome all of you to this webinar today. We all have gathered here to discuss about a very important topics, Islamic overview on the policy governance in dealing with the pandemic COVID-19, experiences and comparative studies between Indonesia, Malaysia and Brunei. This is the most strong discussed issues with a significant implication for our future nation and countries due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The outbreak of coronavirus, or we call it the C-19, in the early months of 2020 proved to be one of the most transformative events in the modern period. Pandemic constitute a prominent theme in world considering the massive and multi-effect impact that such incidents have had both in the individual and collective levels. Lesson learned from the actual incident to triggered commentary from the Muslim scholar of the time. It is relevant to the recent coronavirus pandemic because, in sense, it deals with the human condition as it is facing essential threats, reveals important connection to the Islam system of belief, practice, and morality. Numerous normative pronouncements, including the individual comment, fatwa, institutional statement, professional guideline, and recommendation, have been issued in the Muslim world to answer the various questions that emerged since the beginning of the pandemic in 2020 until now. It is already accessible literature to normative pronouncement shows the wide range of the moral question that occupied Muslim religion scholars and ethics that as the disease quickly turned into the global public health crisis with the ramification touch every aspects of the people life. In Asian countries, Indonesia, Brunei, Malaysia, as a neighborhood countries with a large Muslim population, as a response to pandemic COVID-19, it's all situated with its growing and evolving ethic, traditional and Islamic overview, deriving from the both normative and empirical resources to provide the answer how to govern this crisis situation due to the pandemic COVID-19. These recent responses as they reflect important change and transformation that the Islamic normative discourses have been undergo in the modern period. Today, we have this seminar where we'll discuss these issues, Islamic overview on the policy government in dealing with COVID-19, experience in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei. I work on the behalf of our School of Postgraduate Studies, Universitas Muhammadiyah Jakarta. Again, thank you all of respected honorable speakers of seminar for accepting our invitation, and would like to extend my gratitude towards to the committee for their works hard and for preparing this seminar today. I feel honored to welcome all participants and all my fellow colleagues for taking key part in this important program and agenda. I'm sure that you will feel enriched with the knowledge after completing this seminar. I welcome you all once again to the seminar and hope that you all will have a great time ahead. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Masya Allah, Alhamdulillah. Before we are going to the main session, we are going to have opening of presentation guided by the moderator of this webinar, Mr. Siva Amin Widigdo. For Mr. Widigdo, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Mas Satria. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlil fala hadiya lahu. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah, asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Allahumma shalli wa sallim ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsan ila yaumiddin. Amma ba'd. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Praise and gratitude due to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala who grant us health during this difficult time, but we are still able to manage to come and to attend this beautiful, inshallah, a beneficial session, which is webinar on the Islamic overview of policy governance dealing with COVID-19. And also salawat and salam, all salutation is to our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his companions, his family, and those who follow his path to the day of judgment, inshallah. All right, welcome everybody, and Honorable Excellency, the Director of Program Pasca Sarjana, the Head of Master Program of Islamic Studies, Honorable Speakers, Professor Dr. Ahmad Yusuf, Dr. Hamimi Zainuddin, and also Professor Dr. Hilman Latif. Thank you very much for coming, for joining us, and to be able to allocate your times and energy and your knowledge with us here with our students in Master Program of Islamic Studies in UMY and Universitas Muhammadiyah Jakarta. And all students, all audience, welcome on board. And inshallah, today we will be discussing a topic called an Islamic overview on the policy governance in dealing with pandemic, experiences and comparative studies between Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei Darussalam. As all we know that the pandemic COVID-19 has been spreading all over the world, including in Southeast Asia. And today we will share experience of each neighboring countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei Darussalam, on how each respective countries deal with the pandemic of COVID-19, especially in terms of, I mean, in the field or in the context of higher education, in terms of individual response to the individual, institutional, and political response to the pandemic COVID-19. And hopefully we will learn, inshallah, a lot from those experiences that will be shared in this session. We will be having 3 speakers here. And for the first speaker, I will be not long, and I will be directly to the speaker to present their experience, their observation of their respective country, and how to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic in their country, especially in Indonesia, in Malaysia, and Brunei Darussalam. For the first speaker, I would like to invite Professor Ahmad F. Yusuf from Brunei Darussalam, and I will read his curriculum vitae first before I invite him to speak. Professor Ahmad F. Yusuf is actually he finished his graduate degree in Iraq in the University of Baghdad in 1976, then moved to Canada to pursue his master degree in religious studies and PhD degree in religious studies as well in 1992. So he has been experiencing a lot of, I think, changes as well from Iraq and then to Canada, and now he pursued his career in Southeast Asia from Malaysia, and then now become professor in Sultan Sharif Ali Islamic University in Brunei Darussalam. So I would like to welcome Professor Ahmad F. Yusuf. Please, the floor is yours, Professor Yusuf.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shiva. And before I begin my speech, I would like to start by saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
I would like to thank the organized committee who kindly invite me to participate in this webinar, which just to share with you some of the tips, the ideas that the government of Brunei actually their policies on COVID-19 since the pandemic started until today. And I don't have a concrete paper to share with you, neither I have slides. I do have actually research on the area. I already on the way to be published in UK, one article on educational institution and reflection to COVID-19 in Brunei. And now I am actually ongoing research with 3 lecturers from here on Brunei, COVID-19 and Brunei, not on Indonesia, not in Canada, and definitely not in Iraq. So, and this is very interesting with this topic of the webinar. I actually, when I learned the topic, I said, oh, that sounds like our research project, which we wanted to assess the religiosity, the Islamic commitment of the Bruneian before COVID, I would call it pre-COVID and post-COVID. And we have stages and we have waves of COVID, the virus. It's not only one scheme. No, Now, actually, we are experiencing the second wave, which is worse than the first one. After 1 year and a half, 1 year and more than 1 year, actually, Brunei did not have one case of COVID internal. We have a few, imported. Okay, so how are we gonna speak about the topic of Islamic overview of the policy governance in dealing with pandemic experiences in comparative study between Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brunei? I could speak a little bit about Malaysia, but clearly about Brunei. And it's a good thing we have our brother, Dr. Kamimi from USIM, who will share with us, the Malaysian experience, inshallah. Okay, so when we look at when we said Islamic overview and we look at Brunei and COVID-19, we need to go a little bit back to history. I don't want to give you a lecture on how did Islam masuk Nusantara Melayu and how did Islam masuk Brunei and when and how. That is, it is not relevant for this presentation. But I like to share with you a little bit of institution in Brunei. Like, who is the Brunei? Where is the Brunei? Brunei is a small island. It's a majority Muslim country, like Indonesia, like Malaysia, in Nusantara Melayu, where there is very close to 300 million Muslims. The majority, or the absolute majority, are Malay. And speaking about Brunei, the population of Brunei, it's less than 500,000 actually. And again, I don't want to speak about history when Manila, Philippines, was belonged to Brunei, and Borneo, all including Sumatra, was actually belonged to the Sultan of Brunei. Never mind, again, no history. We need to look at the current situation. Brunei is a Muslim nation, and His Majesty the Sultan is the head of the Islamic states in the country. People, when they ask me in Canada about Brunei, Islam in Brunei, I would say yes. Brunei is a conservative, a traditional society. I mean, you cannot say why. Well, if you wanted to say why we don't go to India and there is Hinduism 4,000 years living there, still ruling the whole country? Why we don't go to Thailand? Buddhism is there. Why we don't go to the Vatican? Go to even America, my beloved country, Christianity. Okay, so people are free to choose whatever they wanted to choose. Brunei choose to be an Islamic nation and follow the constitution and the law. And the good thing is about Brunei, the level of corruption within the system is very minimum. There is no perfect society in the world. But I don't want to speak about Indonesia and Malaysia. I don't want to speak about even my country, Canada. Iraq is Haris, long time ago. So, because when we assess the COVID situation and the correlation between the virus and the impact of the pandemic with religiosity, Islamic commitment, then we have to go to the policies. We have to see who dictates the policies, whether religious or political, to manage the state. And even economics. The virus destroyed the economy of the whole world. And including Brunei and Indonesia and Malaysia. It's a huge impact on business. Tourism has become zero. Travel has become zero almost. Like the whole world living on, like I remember Jogja is one of my best places actually to visit. Now you are there. I might come, inshallah, after COVID restriction, come for some research in Jogja. I've been there many times. I took 31 students from Kuala Lumpur when I was deputy dean, and to visit Jogja. I don't remember, we went to Borobudur, and I have some friends until now. I also spoke in the conference 2004 on International Society for a History of Religions. I was in Brunei, and then I actually enjoy the whole cultural of, the Buddhists, the Hindu, and of course, the majority are Muslims in Jogja. So anyhow, I don't want to go far this. Even if I link Islam in Brunei, probably I go to Jogja, okay? Because, there is so many Islamic values in the Malay culture is assimilated from Hindu, Buddhist, Aboriginal culture. Although these are in Arabic, we call it urf, and urf can be bulay, can be tabulay. And we need mufti and we need ulama to make sure. And Muhammadiyya, of course, is very well known in Indonesia, and to cleaning the Islamic aqidah from, these ajr and sisat surrounding it. Okay, back to our business. So when I speak, when I actually looked at the COVID-19 and policies in Brunei, I was lucky also to be here, because I can speak with you on facts. Not I was sitting in Canada or somewhere in Britain or even in Indonesia or in Kuala Lumpur. I actually sitting here in this university, UNISA, Sultan Sharif Ali, and I joined actually from ISTAC. I was in Kuala Lumpur for 12 years, once in PGA and one in Jalan Duta in ISTAC. So I love Malaysia, by the way, and I really enjoy and have a lot of experience there. Again, Malaysian political system is totally different than the Brunei political system, and totally both different from the Indonesian political system. Why I'm saying this? Because we are speaking about policies, and policy, who make the policy? Is the government. And the government, whether they are rich, they are poor, they are Islamic or not Islamic, they are secular or they are Western, or they are very traditional or corrupt or not corrupt, then we need to speak about this frankly and openly. Now, Alhamdulillah, Brunei is, the Sultan is very Islamically oriented. And I could give you a lot of examples. Like a few days ago, we have the second wave of COVID. Okay, like in the last 10 days, Brunei was actually, I would say, full of the virus. We have hundreds of cases positive. I am sitting now, and the whole country is in marginal shutdown, lockdown. Why? Because we have malls infected, we have government offices infected, we have schools infected, mosque is closed, church is closed, Buddhist is closed, the whole thing is closed. If this is only in the last 2 weeks, everyone start to cry. Where this come from? After more than 1 year, not even one single case. And this is what we call it imtihan, test. From who? From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who created it's just tiny virus and wanted to destroy the whole world. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also will give us the mind to use. Give us government to have this public policies, to make a decision on our behalf. And so far, Brunei have an excellent policies in line with Islamic values to combat the pandemic. And, you cannot stop when the virus came, when it's come from outside, by the plane, by the ship, by the land, or whatever. And from the beginning, actually, Brunei did good job. Close the border, no airport, no one can even pass, transit in Brunei. And I was here, and I went to Canada actually last year because my, it's a government ticket, and I have to go. So, and I said, okay, because I need to go and see my children and everything, the whole family living there. So I went through Kuala Lumpur. Oh, the KLIA is the heaven before COVID. When I landed, I almost cried because I know before was actually built, I was in Kuala Lumpur. And when it's built, it was like one of the best airports in the world. It was like a ghost town when I arrived last year. Very sad. It was dark, and what do you see? Only police and everything. Worse than a Kuala Lumpur airport is Heathrow, London airport. It is the same thing. But when I arrived in Toronto and Ottawa, I drink coffee in the airport during the same time. And this is like 1 year and 2 months. And the Canadian take it a little bit easy, freedom, and all these things. Even the virus attacked Canada, and Canada also have their own policy, and UK have their own policy. I really like Bruneian policy in terms of dealing with the pandemic. Why? What does make it different than Britain and Canada and Malaysia? Because it has Islamic values. I told you just 2 days ago, I think, 2 days ago. Last night, we had 94 cases in 24 hours. It really shocked us. Now the whole Brunei is closed almost, including Jum'ah, Salat, and all the mosques and surrounds is closed. And His Majesty came on TV 2 days ago. He is almost crying, almost. So sad. And even make me a little bit sad to see a head of a state, the Sultan. Yes, he is, alhamdulillah, healthy, rich, but he used 5 times. I didn't understand because I don't speak Malay, but I actually, and I had his speech because I needed for my research to find out what actually he said. What I learned from the speech directly from the TV, 5 times he said, istighfar and tawbah. I will guarantee you not a single Muslim leader during this pandemic, more than 1 year, use any Islamic terminology called tawbah, repentance. Why? Because we did bad things and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to punish us. And we need to do sabr and do Islamic things. And istighfar, astaghfirullah. Do you know now in every single day, Pacha Yasin, almost not every day, but probably every time their channel, all dua, tahleel, and Yasin. Tell me which country in the Muslim world do this? I do not think so. I don't think there is anyone. Now, having said this, did not say, okay, read Quran and go out and die with COVID. No. The Ministry of Health did a great job having our, where's my telephone? Here's my phone. And here is the Brew Health, this one application. If I touch, it comes like this. I don't know if you can see it or not. And in this, all the information you need about COVID-19 in Brunei, every single case, all detailed, very professional in Malay and in English. And this is tracking also. I just had coffee from Coffee Bean. I went there. I didn't go inside because it's locked down. So you have to, when I came to the office, I have to, barcode. Anywhere in Brunei, you need this one. Even my vaccines, okay? Here, the vaccines, where is it? Here, I have 2 completed doses. It's all recorded here. No need to go to office, no need to have a file and all these things. So from the beginning, every day, the Minister of Health and the Minister of Economics and Finance, and sometimes the Minister of Education, because our institution, including our beloved university here, we have to teach online. I have two classes tomorrow. Yesterday, I have one. I have 4 courses. All has to be online. Whether the majority in Brunei, actually. Last year, there is 1 or 2 in Indonesia, and we have to give them lectures every week. Now, back again. So the press conference every day telling us the Minister of Health, the Minister of Economic, and the Minister of Education, and sometimes, a press conference, reporters ask a question and all these things. Everything organized. And alhamdulillah, I would say probably the public policies in terms of related to COVID-19 was perfect, almost perfect. It was amazing. And not only this, you see so many problems in Kuala Lumpur. Sometimes I read people, they don't care. They go, and probably Indonesia is the same thing. In Canada, the same thing. Wearing the mask, they don't care. Social distancing, and everybody like the police. In Canada, the police walk in the street, they could arrest you, they could give you a ticket. So far, I didn't hear, but in the report, there is some kidai and all these things do. But in Brunei, people, they respect the policy. I would say all Muslim and non-Muslims, the Muslims is 70%, 30% non-Muslims. And they are actually doing a great job. I go hiking every day. All right. And now you cannot leave the home. You have to stay in the home. I am in my office. Now I'm talking to you. I am in the office. Probably I'm the only one in the office here in Indonesia. And the reason why, because my family in Canada, and I need some tools here, my books, and do some research, and even my teaching, and then I go home. But I go hiking. When I go hiking, there's so many people. They ask the Minister of Health, how about hiking? Can they go hiking? I said, yes. Hiking? Boleh, no problem. Make sure social distancing. Make sure not too many individual hiking is very good, because the virus attracts everywhere. Now it's in the air. So they wanted to control it, and we are just making dua. Even His Majesty, he said, make sure read Yasin, read Quran, and dua. And the dua everywhere, on TV, online, in social media, in the house, in my teaching. Every day I teach, we begin with dua and with dua. Even in the salah, every time salah jama'ah, there is dua al-qunut specifically for COVID-19. So in Salat al-Jum'ah and everything since COVID-19 began until now. So I think now to be fair, I think nobody can blame the government, and they give a lot of money. Although there is donation box and there is millions. Brunei is not poor country. Yes, they have. But remember, there is the frontliners. There is people who is actually devoted their life to serve the community. And these are Muslims. I'm not certain about non-Muslims. And I have the feeling they follow the rules and regulation in Brunei because they are good citizens. I mean, Brunei is very small. The advantage of controlling COVID is the country is very small, easy. Yesterday, I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said, you know what? How come the virus? And he said, what shall we do? And I jokingly said, if I have power, I put these spray to kill the virus in 2 barrels, 3 barrels, from the helicopters, go up in the sky and spray the whole country in 1 hour. Then, inshallah, the virus will disappear. But it's easy to speak. Then I'm not in the government. I'm not in the policy. They are the one who is following United Nations policy, international policy. Until now, we cannot leave Brunei. Basically, even if I have a plane at the airport, I cannot leave. Why? I needed permission first from UNICEF, and second from the Prime Minister office. And who is the head of the Prime Minister office? Is the Sultan. So basically, you really hitting your head in the wall. If you have no strong reason to leave, they will never entertain you. And not only this, we are government officers. Okay. And when you balik kampung to Brunei, good luck. You need a new permission from the immigration. Who will get this? Also, you have to prove everything, including your seat in the plane. They are really, really restrict on this. I respect it because we have to follow, and we have to make sure we follow the policies 100% to make everyone happy, to make the society clean. And it is so sad to see this, what I call it, the second wave of COVID-19 hit the Brunei. But you know, there is wisdom. Imam Ghazali, radiallahu anh, when he was speaking about disease and treatment, he said, you know, in Islam, diseases and calamities is not bad. He said, because it's keep us close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remind us of death. Like every day, you know, when you see, with all the second wave hitting Brunei, I would say, alhamdulillah, I was telling everyone, no casualty, not a single one died. And we have hundreds of cases until today. And every day at 4 p.m., everyone holding the phone because the press conference and the Minister of Health coming and tell us how many new cases Baru. Then yesterday, 94 or 92, we were just like, we thought we finished now. We went to the peak. Now we're going to go Bawa. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has wisdom in it. As a Muslims, we have to learn. We have to use our head. We have to use all the means to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because there is nothing really that you could use all the means, the swabs, the vaccinations, and all these things. But when the time comes, لا ينفعهم مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم. Anyway, I think I'm done.
All right.
And thank you very much for listening. I'm a little bit not nervous, but more excited because honestly, this topic is very interesting. And I have all the files here for my research. And I think my research group's researcher, they are 3 lecturers, Bruneian, with me. I am the research project leader. So they are actually monitoring here. I told them because this is very important and very interesting. And thank you very much for inviting me. Jazakum Allahu khairan.
Wa iyyakum. Thank you very much. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Professor Ahmad Yusuf, for the beautiful sharing. Yes, we know that Brunei Darussalam is very strict in terms of implementing the COVID protocols. That's why the number of the cases is very minimal. As we know, from the news, also from the presentation, that there have been no cases, local transmission cases. 0 cases for over a year, and just recently there is a local transmission. But we know, from the presentation of Professor Yusuf, we know that the government actually inspired or triggered, inspired, and also learned from the Islamic values, Islamic teachings of how to govern the government and the society and to cope with the COVID-19 pandemic in Brunei Darussalam. And this, I think, one of the best practice of how to deal with the pandemic, although in terms of the size of the society is not as many as Malaysian or as Indonesian. And now we move on to the next speaker, to our Malaysian colleague, which is Dr. Muhammad Nur Khamimi bin Zainuddin. He is associate professor in University Science Islam Malaysia, or Islamic Science University of Malaya in Delhi, Malaysia. He he is, his background, his major, his research interest is in computer assisted language learning, and his minor is teaching Arabic as second language. He's teaching in USIM, as I mentioned, and he did a lot of research, published papers, and he also shared with us his beautiful YouTube channel in which he share his knowledge how to learn languages, especially Islamic, Arabic dialects from Misr, from Leviathan lands. And we would like to welcome Dr. Nur Khamim bin Zainuddin to share with us his experience, his observation of how Malaysia deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. You can share with us in terms of the politics, because we just learned recently that the Prime Minister of Malaysia is also resigned from his position. To some, it's because of the the COVID-19 pandemic as well. But you can also tell us or share with us the governance in a local or in institutional like USIM, how to deal with the COVID-19 as well. So welcome, please welcome and join with us Professor Nur Khamim bin Zainuddin. Are you with us here?
Yes.
Okay, so the floor is yours.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin. Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri. Wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli, amma ba'd. Thank you very much. And assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To the moderator, Dr. Muhammad Shifa Amin Widikdo.
Salam.
Respected guest, respected speaker from UNISA, Professor Dr. Ahmad Yusuf from UNISA.
Thank you.
As well as the speaker from UMY, my colleague, Prof. Hilman Latif from UMY. Alhamdulillah, I've been last 2 years, I've been to Brunei to talk in UBD, but I also visited UNISA to meet my colleagues, Prof. Associate Professor Dr. Sarah, and as well as Dr. Hambali. And for UMY, USIM and UMY is like a twin brothers. Okay, I've been with Dr. From the Arabic, Dr. Talkis Nordianto and colleagues, and also the Dean. We have been together in preparing and organizing conferences every year. So Alhamdulillah, today the time has given to me around 30 minutes or to 40 minutes. If you would like to talk about COVID-19 in Malaysia, I think at least we need to have 3 days or 4 days to talk about COVID-19, because the scope is quite big. We are focusing more on we are talking about political aspects. We're talking about educational, but maybe today I will be with Ahmad Yusuf, Prof. Ahmad Yusuf, that we as academics or academician will talk more about the education sectors. But I also will touch a little bit about what is happening in Malaysia. But you can also find some researchers or research or studies from my website, drhamimi.com. And in this pandemic COVID-19, I can move academically using my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Hamimi channel in YouTube. So before we go with my slide, allow me to share one YouTube video to get a little bit big picture is about what is happening in Malaysia. So allow me to share my screen. Host disable participant screen sharing. Allow me, the host kindly allow me to share my screen.
Mas Arif bisa dikasih akses ke Dr. Khamimi untuk bisa share screen.
Okay, please, Doctor. Please.
Okay, yes, now I can share my screen. Share sound. So this is a Malaysia coronavirus incredible success story. So this is was recorded by Bule or an Englishman last year, 2020.
This is a story about a country in Southeast Asia that often doesn't get much attention. Malaysia. In March, Malaysia was failing. Newspapers published articles about how Malaysia was struggling against COVID-19. Malaysia had 3 times more cases than any country in Southeast Asia. The virus was in every state and federal territory. What makes the story even more sad is how the infection spread, not from Malaysians partying or being badly behaved. It spread from a religious gathering. Malaysians, being well-behaved citizens, had unknowingly spread COVID-19. But here is where the story gets interesting. Malaysia's government quickly made adjustments. Movement Control Order, or MCO, roadblocks, closed events, closed schools, closed non-essential businesses. Malaysia would do MCO 2.0 or the Enhanced Movement Control Order. For anywhere where there are several cases, all businesses were closed, roads all blocked, no one in or out, no one could leave their homes. But don't worry, food and medical care were provided. And Malaysia's case numbers? They started to drop. On April 14th, the Philippines passed Malaysia in COVID-19 cases. The next day, Indonesia. 2 days later, Singapore. Singapore is a much smaller country with a population 5 times smaller. Singapore now has 15 times the case rate of Malaysia. Malaysia is an example that we can all overcome this. How a country that had so many cases did the right stuff to stop the spread, and almost no media is talking about it. Even myself, I am guilty of this. I made a video of the top 15 countries fighting COVID-19, and Malaysia wasn't included. But luckily, one of my Malaysian followers pointed out Malaysia's story. Malaysia's COVID-19 numbers are good, but when you realize at one point they were 3 times worse than any country in Southeast Asia, and now they're one of the best, it's an incredible story that needs to be told. So I ask you to help me let the world know Malaysia's story.
All right, so that's all about the beginning of Malaysia. So I think most of you have already known. A few days, our Prime Minister stepped down from the position, but I think in terms of politics, we are not that stable. But in terms of the community, we live as a normal life. There is no riot here and there. There is no riot. There's no people gathering. Okay, so I think in these few days we will receive a new Prime Minister, inshallah. So pray for Malaysia. So let me just go to my slide for this morning. Right, so can you see my slide right now?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So the title that I would like to propose for today's webinar is about COVID-19 Malaysia experience and key lessons. Okay. So from this infographic, so this was recorded yesterday. Okay, the cases, new cases is about 22,000. Okay, then the total cost, the total cases actually is 1.4 million. So these are breakdowns towards the countries in Malaysia, the district and the states from Selangor down to Labuan. So for those who have come or have visited or live in Malaysia, you already know these 14 states in Malaysia, including Prof. Ahmad Yusof. Okay, we have been to Malaysia for quite a few years. Right, so next. So now we are applying MCO or Movement Control Order 3.0, where essential services allowed. Okay, this is from 1st of June up to 14th of June, whereby we allow food and beverages, health and medical care, and as well as critical works in construction and maintenance and repair, as well as hotel, but not for tourism and logistics. But what happened to educational or to the higher education institution and included schools? So recently, we can say now, schools are still closed. We are using the online learning mode, as well as the university. We are using the blended or online learning. And as announced by the Prime Minister on 10th of August, there are some relaxations for fully vaccinated individuals. So for those who are receiving or who receive vaccine from Pfizer or AstraZeneca or even Sinovac, those who have received a second dose after 14th day from the date of second vaccination, they can actually do or undergo inter-district travel, or they can even dine in the restaurant, but we are still advised to take away, and premises owner are advised to provide more space outside for ventilation, and they can they can continue with their sports and recreational, but they are still need to have they still need to follow the compulsory home quarantine or inter-district or interstate travel and religious activity like solar in mosques and surahs have been permissible for those who already obtained their second dose of vaccine. And for those who have first dose of vaccine from Johnson & Johnson and CanSino, after 28th day from date of vaccination, they can undergo this scan. And during the Sekatan Jalan Raya or Roblox, they can just issue or they can show their e-certificate that or COVID-19 vaccination digital certificate to the police or to the authorities for them to pass the roadblocks. Right, so for IPT operation, okay, so IPT means higher education institution from phase 1 from June 1st to 14 June. So we allow research activities involving lab facilities and special equipment, sport and recreation limited to jogging and individuals exercises, student programs activities must be conducted online or via digital platforms, banks, pharmacies, and sundry shops and laundries. Okay, cafeteria, packed food only, exempt by international and professional bodies are subject to strict SOP, and schedule must be arranged by organizations in charge. But we are not allowed to do the face-to-face activities, teaching and learning activities, coming to work except for essential service. In fact, right now I'm in my house, in my home, live from my home. So we are working from home. And any club, association, curricular activities conducted face-to-face or in groups are not allowed. Social, religious, economic, sports, and recreational group activities are not allowed, and for students to leave campus unless with permission from their higher education institution must adhere to the SOP. Right, so I would like to gather all of us in this Zoom right now. This is what our 21st century or pandemic COVID-19 learners is all about, Okay, if you can see on your right now, you can see the hierarchy one, and the left side is the hierarchy. So right now, before pandemic, we are more into the hierarchy way, right? Hierarchy means student will learn from their lecturers. Lecturers, they have their professors, and professors, they have the top management. But now, students are more doing their way in the hierarchy style. Okay, we don't know where they study, we don't know when they study, we don't know with whom they are studying with, and why they study, right? Because right now, it's the education landscape is kind of upside down. Students are learning maybe in the morning, maybe in the afternoon, or maybe at night. That's why lecturers, we are receiving more and more messages from our students via WhatsApp, Telegram, YouTube, emails, up until 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. Students are, questioning or giving us, sharing with us some thoughts, ideas, and even questions. So right now, as educators, that means I think in UMY also, your students are quite hierarchy. So this is kind of the terms or terminology that I've coined. Okay, you cannot find this hierarchy in your Cambridge dictionary or in Macmillan or in Webster. Okay, so this is kind of a new term that I've coined during this pandemic COVID-19. Right, so actually in 2017, I've written about Revolusi Industri 4.0 hasilkan University Uber. Okay, so actually Industrial Revolution 4.0 produced or created a new term of university called Uber University. So this is 2017. So who knows right now, 2020 or 2021, my dreams has come true. What I have projected in 2017 already come true. You can Google from, if you want to get this particular article, I think the font is quite small. You can find from Google Nurhami Zainuddin, University Uber, and voila, you can download this picture or this article from Koran, or in Malaysia we call it as a Berita Harian. So right now, I would like to attract your attention for UMY and UNISA, or even IPTA from Malaysia, who have joined us today. So we are coming actually a Grab University or Uber University. Why? Why I said so? Because right now, maybe some of you might disagree. No problem. We can discuss and debate about this academically, because I can see university have become agency, and lecturers have become the drivers, not the super, but it's a kind of analogy, that metaphor that I can use, okay, to reflect what is going on in higher education industry or higher education institution right now. And students become the customer, and our learning materials, our kitab, our all learning materials have become mobile apps. That's why if you can say right now, if you are using Grab application or Food Panda or Bungkusit or even Uber, right now, if you are the customer, students are the customer, normally they will use the mobile apps, okay? And they will use the mobile apps owned by the agency or by the sharikat by the company, and the drivers or the riders will serve you, will send to you foods, groceries, as well as stationeries or whatever you want in the grocery shops, okay? So right now, if we can convert back to our university, same, it is the same. Students, they want something, they want a learning material, they want kuliah, they want lectures, they want tutorials, they want videos, podcasts, MP3s. they will ask you using WhatsApp or Zoom or Microsoft Teams or even WebEx or YouTube's SlideShare, LinkedIn, or ResearchGate. Okay, we are talking about academia.edu. So it's just apps. So the lecturers, it's the drivers and riders, we will send all of these learning materials using our mobile apps or using our computers, right? And our university has just become a new agency because our university is the owner of the lecturers. Okay, they are top management, they are the owners of the lecturers, students, and the learning materials. So this is quite interesting actually. We can talk more and more about it, and we can also write and publish a few articles or more articles, and even students in UMY, you can do master and PhD in this particular field or in this particular issue. Right, so in Malaysia, I think this is quite the same what is happening in Brunei or in Indonesia or even in Singapore, or even last 2 weeks, I've been in one conference in Korea. We are talking about the same, whereby we are applying a few teaching methods, okay? Technology versus teacher or student-centeredness, whereby right now we can choose whether we want to go to teacher-centered or student-centered, okay? But we also need to comply, or we also need to favor the technology. Okay, students are, when the student is urban area, whether they are in urban area or in rural areas, di bandar ataupun di desa, we are talking about high tech. If you have the high tech, you need to do the survey first. If the students and the lecturer, they are having the high technology, and then you can move to the flipped classroom, personalized learning, game-based learning, and inquiry-based learning. But if we are dealing with students from the desa, from the village, okay, maybe there are some village that have a very good, strong internet connectivity. But even students who are coming from bandar or from city, maybe the internet is not that good. So you need to consider the use of direct instruction, kinesthetic learning, differential instruction, as well as expeditionary learning. And if you can see the right infographic, if you have the high bandwidth, you can go to pre-recorded video like I did in YouTube, a synchronous discussion with video, a synchronous discussion with audio, and pre-recorded audio. But right now, we are using Zoom. That means we are on far right, we are using the video conferences and also as well as audio conferences. And if we want the high immediacy in terms of responses from our student and our lecturers, we can go to the collaborative documents using SharePoint, using Dropbox, or using our G Drive, okay? And we can do the communication with the group chat and messaging using WhatsApp, Viber, or even Telegram. So right now, how do Malaysians convert our conventional or traditional kind of teaching methodology to the new wave of methodology of teaching during COVID-19? So actually, we need to know. Sometimes students has been given a few articles, a few case study, a few essays, a few MCQ, but there are no marks for that kind of. It will increase actually the mental problem, health problem for our students as well as lecturers. So in order for us to control this kind of thing, we need to align our course outcome with our the task has been given to our student. Okay, or else student will get bored and get burned out because there has been given tasks and more videos to be submitted to the lecturers. Okay, more audios, more Instagram posts. So the student will get burned out. So think critically and make judgment. You can see for the Nightingale 2006 for the learning outcomes. So if you have the learning outcome using the developing argument reflecting. You can use either article or literature review, case study, essay, or practical experiment, project, or report. Or, I mean here is I would like to stress here, or, not. It doesn't mean that if I tick here all green, so that means you can do all of them. Okay, you need to. This is what subject matter expert is all about. You need to sit together and discuss about how can you align again. You cannot just use your previous course learning outcome, okay, in this pandemic COVID-19. No, you need to align a little bit, modify, ask for your stakeholders, ask your students, your prodi, your program, your deans, as well as you need to benchmark with other universities. So I think this webinar today, instead of comparative direction, comparative studies between 3 countries, we are also do the benchmarking things whereby we can learn from each other. We can learn from Brunei experience, from Indonesia experience, as well as Malaysia experience. Right. So let me just skip to the second one. Okay, this is also about assessing and managing information. Okay, so actually, right now I can see there are no various types. Okay, the use of the assessment and the tasks that given to students are not varied. So you need to make sure that all your learning outcome and all your learning outcomes has been achieved in a good manner. Right, so we are talking about assessing and managing information, managing and developing oneself, communicating. So maybe some of you might ask me, Dr. Hamimi, this is time consuming, right? This is time consuming. We need to sit and we need to discuss. It doesn't take, maybe one semester is not enough. Yes, you are totally right. When the pandemic attacked us, I think last year, the university and schools were closed on March or April 2020. So we are kind of maybe quote unquote panic at that time because there are a few questions coming from students as well as lecturers. And some of the workers, some of the administrative staff, they were asking about halal ke tak gaji kalau kerja dari rumah, is it okay to work from home, is it okay if we go to online class and then we stop for lunch and playing with our kids or helping our parents to do, you know, to run some errands and do groceries, is it halal our salaries, that kind of thing. But for the second semester, I think during August or during October last year, we are improving a little bit, a lot. Maybe from the 1,000 question and answer from the deanship, from the administrative staff, or even in the political, in the bigger aspect in Malaysia. Okay, we already have our good SOP, frequent asked question, FAQ, so on and so forth. So the question, the worry has decreased from time to time. That's why in Surah Al-Isra, ayah 36, A'udzubillahi minasyaitonir rajim, Inna as-sam'a wal basara wal fu'ada kullu ulaika kana anhu mas'ula. The translation is, in Malaysia sesungguhnya pendengaran dan penglihatan serta hati, semua anggota-anggota itu tetap akan ditanya tentang apa yang dilakukannya. So our panca indera, our sixth sense, hearing, the way we walk, this is very important thing even during pandemic COVID-19. Why I said so? Because right now we have our own model, and this learning buffet model, I have been introduced about this learning model or learning buffet since 2016 or 17, whereby the learners, in this pandemic COVID-19, we propose for them to undergo some kind of interactive learning style and self-assessment. And this model I have introduced in UII, Universitas Islam Indonesia, as well as Ar-Raniri. We went to Banda Aceh, and I think UII and Banda Aceh, yes. Or even in Jogja. We go to UII and The other one is Sunan Kalijaga, Win Sunan Kalijaga.
Right.
So we talk and we discuss about learning buffet. We are the learning designers. You can see here learning designers, and students are learners. When we can find the learning style of our student, kita tahu pelajar ini suka yang mana. They are more happy to videos or PDF or MP3 or even podcast. When we know our student, then we start to build the content. Right now, if we are still in pandemic, we use the conventional style, just the text and images, but our students are rather happy with the videos. That's why they will get bored. That's why in our Zoom, in our MS Teams, in our LMS, after 10 minutes, they will stop their video, they will go away from you, they will not pay attention with your lectures. And this is what happened even before or prior COVID-19, right? So if you are taking their learning style into consideration, or you are taking their learning style into account, then you will start to consider what are the content, what are the pedagogy. You want to go for task-based learning, problem-based learning. So this is what Al-Isra ayat 36 is all about. Okay, we are using our sixth sense in even not just in political, in several aspects, but we are talking about in teaching and learning too. Okay, and people are coming from Dirasa Islamiyah for Pendidikan Islam is more concerned about this, on how we can integrate the Nakli knowledge and Akli knowledge during this pandemic COVID-19. Then we'll go for the technology. Okay, but right now I can see from my observation, people are more concerned about technology, whether to use iPad or whether to use Android, whether to use iPhone or whether to use Samsung. No, put that away first. Think about the content first, and then the pedagogy, because in this COVID-19, even without technology, if you know how to use the pedagogy well, okay, because 2021, we are talking about plug and unplug. We are talking about online learning and offline learning. If you just focus about online learning, people, students who are coming from rural area will be left behind. Okay, so in your learning buffet, in your learning management system, in your MOOC, in your WhatsApp group, okay, in your Telegram group, in your Viber group, you need to make sure that you have this kind of learning buffet. You have the MP3s, you have the PDF, you have the videos, a combination of PowerPoints, or even a combination of a simulation. So when your student come to your group, they will see, oh, this video is suit with my requirement. This PDF is just nice for me. If you just put video, or articles, maybe students will be happy with a certain materials, but the rest will left or will ignore your group. Okay, and this learning buffet need to be validated by the subject matter expert. Even though if you are, compiling materials from Oxford, from Cambridge, from Al-Azhar, from Cairo, from Iraq, or from Bahrain, the subject matter expert need to sit together and discuss, validate this kind of materials, whether it suit with the local flavor, with the Indonesian flavor, with the Malaysian flavor, of it, with the Bruneian flavor, right? And you need to put the tagging. Tagging here means problem-based learning, SMR, SD, S1, S2, S3. You need to tag, because right now, if we go to Netflix, if you are watching movies, the tagging there, the hashtag will help us a lot, right? To in order for us to open, to search for new things that really suit with our requirement. So do the tagging. Right. So for more details about this learning buffet, you can find my articles. You can critique my article academically, no problem, or we can go for another paper's comparative using how we can apply this learning buffet from three countries, Malaysia, Brunei, and Indonesia. You can type in Google Nurhami Zainuddin Learning Buffet, and you will find one articles on how I critique the use of TPEC, or technology, pedagogy, content, and knowledge. Okay, and I would like to propose a new model, which is a learning buffet for this particular COVID-19. Right. So technology, worry not. Okay, worry not. Don't worry about technology, because if you type the pedagogy will version 4.0, now we have 5.1 or 5.2, you can see a lot of free of charge, gratis, Pak, gratis from iOS or even from Play Store. So don't worry about technology. Worry about the pedagogy and your student first. Okay, then you find the suitable application from Google Store or Play Store, or even from iOS, or even from web-based or mobile-based, that really suit with your student needs. Right. So right now, in order for us to use technology in this pandemic, we need to segregate whether we use our technology for substitution, or augmentation, or modification, or redefinition. Okay, so some of the students from S2 or from master, normally we will ask them to go for augmentation or modification, and for those who like to pursue their PhD in UC Science Islam Malaysia, we will ask them to go for redefinition. That means you give another new definition to the practice that we are having right now. So this is summer model, very professional and very famous model in integrating technology in our teaching methodology. And we also can use this summer model, okay, for our political system, for our policy, whether we want to substitute, we want to augment, we want to modify, or we want to give a new definition to the operational definition. Okay, so it's like coffee. Okay, when you put some sugar, so it's a substitution. When you change your coffee to latte, okay, for macchiato, it will become augmentation. But from coffee, you use coffee to make a cake. Daripada kopi jadi cake. That means there's another level there, which is modification. But right now, I think in Indonesia, I have seen they use coffee to draw. Okay, drawing using coffee. Okay, or you use coffee for masker. Okay, to use for masking, facial mask. So you give another redefinition. Biasanya kita gunakan kopi untuk makan atau untuk minum. Now you use coffee for another purposes, which are for facial mask. Okay, this is what we call SAMR or SAMR. Right, so this is my last slide. I hope my sharing, this is a limited time that this is what I have. What I have in my mind about what is the pandemic COVID-19 in Malaysia is all about. So like I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation, if you would like to know more about COVID-19, I think in Indonesia as well, you have, because Indonesia is a big country, we have more and more stories, or even for Brunei, even though the cases are not that great, but also maybe you have more and more stories to share with all of us. So thank you very much. I would like to apologize for any shortcomings. Hope to see you again. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Hamimi, for a very insightful presentation and information regarding how Malaysian deal with the COVID-19, and especially how we adapt to a new environment, new reality, especially in the educational setting. He gave a lot of insightful ideas of how from hierarchy to hierarchy is a very interesting term, and also the learning buffet is also very interesting to study further. We can discuss further later on that topic. Thank you very much. And now we have our colleague here, our Vice Rector, Professor Dr. Hilman Latif, who will also give another share of how Indonesian in general and how UMY in particular react or respond to the pandemic COVID-19, that all of us can learn from that. The floor is for Professor Dr. Hilman Latif. Welcome. Hilman, can you unmute first? Right.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Shiva Widigdo. Thanks for the enlightening speakers in today's seminar, Professor Ahmad Yusuf and Professor Nur Hamimi Zainuddin. It's very enlightening presentation. I'm very honored and, of course, very proud of being part of this seminar. I would like to thank for the committee for the invitation, and of course, this seminar is very important in today's situation when people around the world, including in the Muslim world, as well as in Southeast Asia, remains struggling how to cope with the pandemic COVID-19. Today, I would like to share some views regarding the response to the COVID-19, the experience of Indonesia in general and Muhammadiyah in particular, how these institutions, the state, the government, as well as civil society organizations try to resolve the problem affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. As we know that the impact of the pandemic is not only about the health issues, but also about the economic, social, psychosocial context of the societies, the culture, and so on and so on. Here is the my few points. Okay. Last year, we start facing great difficulties of the impact of the pandemic. Indonesia is one of the largest Muslim countries, which in the first time, and I believe in other Southeast Asian countries, try to face this situation with their own strategy. Okay. As we agree that this pandemic is caused by COVID-19 virus that deteriorate the health issues of the societies, the health condition of the people, especially with the comorbid, and cause thousands and millions of people pass away, accelerated by this COVID-19. And this COVID-19 pandemic caused the emergency situations and become disaster for the society. And the question is, what is the main impact of this pandemic to our society? Okay, and how Muslim philanthropy organization, civil society association responds to this pandemic. Before we come to further discussion, I wrote in Bahasa Indonesia, okay, so everyone can see, and I will present it in English. Okay, my attention in this presentation focus on the social cohesion of society, and in particular, social cohesion within religious organization in response to the crisis. Okay, as we know, theoretically, religion can become factors that tie individual or societies, and strengthens the social cohesion, okay, among the members of the society. Okay. But we know that in our situation, And the previous speakers has explains the increasing technologies, digital technology in our society. The question is, to what extent the social cohesion, including among religious groups in the cities or in the remote areas or in the village, change or influence mode or the patterns of social expression and solidarity in society. Okay, we now face hardship, economically, culturally, socially, in education, in the social life, in economic activities, deteriorated by this pandemic. Many people affected by this pandemic, especially among lower middle class. Okay, and how people strengthen their social cohesion in response to this pandemic. Okay, according to common theory, the social cohesion can be is strong in the areas where solidarities can be strengthened easily in the situation where people have strong social cohesion. Okay, solidarities can be strengthened when people feel that they have connection between one to another. Okay. However, in recent time, people live in the digital era, in the era of technology. To what extent, okay, social cohesion can be expressed, right? For example, among villagers in the village, they have quite strong social connection. They know each other, they know the families, even they have familiar relation among each other. So when one's affected by a kind of hardship, okay, and everyone will be involved to help. Okay. And then how about in the big cities when people do not know each other personally, okay, when they never interact each other, when they were very busy with their own business, okay, in the office, and they went to the workplace in the morning and come back to home in the evening, and they have no time for a strengthening social cohesion. But during the pandemic, how could we define social cohesion among people living in big cities or in the village? Okay, what kind of engagement and types of solidarities they can express to be involved in the projects or in response to the crisis. Okay, and another question is, do we think that being religious people during the pandemic is more meaningful? Apakah beragama di masa pandemi ini menjadi lebih bermakna? Do we think so? Yeah. Do people feel that they are encouraged by religious belief to donate, to help people, to provide aid for those in need, and so forth and so on? So this is some issue that I would like to highlight. As we know that Indonesia is our the largest Muslim country in the world, and more than 80% of the population are Muslims, and economically Indonesia is kind of a medium and developing country, quote unquote. Okay, this is also a challenge for Muslim civil society organization, how they define themselves during the crisis caused by the pandemic. Okay, and to what extent people express their religious belief of being generous, of being religious. Yeah. Do we think that being generous is also means being religious? Ya, semakin dermawan, semakin beragama. That's my question. Now we see the impact of the pandemic. As we know that in many countries, pandemic is seen as healthcare issues. But the fact, of course, it's not the same. This pandemic caused various issues in our societies, including the impact of pandemic can be related to healthcare, of course, as well as the social impact of the pandemic. We have to think about it, the economic impact. And one thing that we cannot neglect from our discussion is about the religious impact. We see that a lot of debates whether people really believe in the pandemic COVID-19 as a real cause of change in our society. Okay, naturally, this is a part of the natural causes, or this is a grand design of a certain superpower, or what? But at the grassroots level, we see that the impact of pandemic reach multi-stakeholders. Okay, in the workplace, in the mosques or church, in the communities, at schools, in the religious school, madrasa, in the hospitals, okay, the universities, and so forth and so on. And you know that right now, after 1 year, we have seen the pandemic. We witnessed that the increased number of orphans in our society because their parents passed away by the pandemic. This is the experience of Muhammadiyah. Okay, and we in the beginning we feel that the pandemic is a kind of a disaster, and we put a similarity with the natural disaster, and therefore at the time Muhammadiyah create what they call MCCC, Muhammadiyah COVID-19 Command Center. But this MCCC in the beginning consists only people from Muhammadiyah, activists or volunteers from LPB, Muhammadiyah Disaster Management Center, okay, as well as from doctor, physicians, nurse from the hospital. But then Muhammadiyah realized after 2 months of COVID-19 that this disaster is not a common disaster that we face annually. This is a unique disaster and caused change and affected the religious life of societies, okay, economic life of society, and the social life of society. And therefore, afterward, Muhammadiyah enlarged the division of MCCC by including religious institution, okay, Majlis Tarjih, by including tabligh, okay, by including empowerment division, by including social service division, okay, by including economics empowerment division, because Muhammadiyah predicts at the time that the cause of the pandemic will be multi-stakeholders. And the very interesting situation, when MCCC provide a platform where people can raise questions and ask the solution, okay, to the problem they face, many questions raised by people in the grassroots level, mainly related to, one, it's about healthcare, okay, and even question about healthcare is lesser in number than questions about religion. So this is the situation, and therefore religion is a very important factor in this situation, whether as you know, a framework to strengthen people understanding of the pandemic and its impact, okay, or people interpretation of religion is also strengthening in fostering what we call the creation of the implementation of what we call new normal era, gitu ya. Because we pray in the mosque in different way, okay. The distance in the south also changed, okay, because now the south in the mosque when we pray for Jama'ah, we have to keep the distance at least 1 meter and so forth and so on. Then a lot of debates about this, okay. In last year, we were not allowed to go to the mosque, okay, to pray Jum'ah, for example, to pray Idul Fitri, or during the Ramadan, when people are very enthusiastic to pray, to ask from God, okay, and then they are not allowed to go to the mosque, okay. So a lot of debate of society, and this is the situation in our society. Okay, now I would like to highlight. Okay, of course, Muhammadiyah has a lot of work with this, but the distributing mask or disinfectant, hand sanitizer, serving the patients, okay, providing nutrition, helping the needy, providing consultants, and dealing with empowerment and social, psychosocial project and so forth. So a lot of institutions ranging from schools, university, work on social services to help people. Okay, this is an example how Muhammadiyah responds to the COVID. The universities, okay, for hundreds of universities, they run some project in the communities, working together with the communities, supporting the students, providing scholarship, and so forth and so on. I think that is the activities of Muhammadiyah. Now, allow me to share another issues in today's presentation related to the impact of the pandemic. Okay, one of Muhammadiyah institution working on social services is we call Muhammadiyah Philanthropic Board, or Lazis Muhammadiyah, Lembaga Amil Zakat, Infak, and Sedekah Muhammadiyah. After 1 year of the pandemic, I and my team tried to make a kind of small survey to discover the economic condition of society. It appears publicly that people's economic and social conditions are okay. Okay, no rush, no violence due to the pandemic, and people publicly, it seems that people remains calmly face this situation. But I'm wondering behind this public visibility, and therefore I and my team tried to make a survey to discover what is going on behind the scene. Okay, and this is a survey conducted by Lazis Muhammadiyah, the Muhammadiyah Board of Philanthropy, but the impact of the COVID-19 on communities giving behavior. But before that, we also tried to observe the condition of society. Okay, this is a small survey involving about 3,000 students in Indonesia, okay, in certain areas as a sample. And we dig information with the socio-economic impact of the pandemic and how they cope with the impact of the pandemic and the increasing mode of giving behavior and how zakat and social fund distributed to society. I would not explain all the factors. I just would like to highlight two issues here. The first one is the socio-economic impact of the pandemic, And the second one is the giving behavior in response to the pandemic. So my presentation is about how community react to the pandemic. Okay, as you know that the economic condition of Indonesian society is very diverse. There's a lot of certain groups can be included as upper middle class or high class. They are mainly in the middle class. And there are also communities who oppressing middle class, new middle class, but the rest are below middle class or even poor people. About 15%, 14 to 15% of Indonesian society is can be classified as poor people. Okay, what people need during the pandemic? Mainly, people spend their money for foods, of course. 90% of people spend their money for the food. Okay, some also say clothing needs. So this is the priority they put in spending their money. Okay, so this is the basic needs of society. Some still recreation, but very small number. Okay. This is another fact. The current job status after the COVID-19. Okay, many people say in our survey that they still work in the same place. They still have a similar job. Okay, but then about 10% employed a different job and 32% unemployed. So this is very huge number. Okay, and very dangerous, of course. Yeah. And how about the expenditure? Some claim that during the pandemic, their income increased. Okay, expenditure, not this is the expenditure. Their income decreased. Okay, their income increased, and but 70% says that their income decreased. However, the expenditure, pengeluarannya, unlike their income. So the expenditure increased. This is interesting. The income decreased, but expenditure increased because sometimes we need more extra money to support our children, for the quota, for the internet, for the electricity, and nutrition, and so forth and so on. And okay, yes, this is the situation. Okay, some people said that they have no additional job or side jobs, yeah, and about 60%, and some others can be more creative in finding a new job. Okay, and then this is a very interesting point that I would like to deliver. When people face with the hardship, my question is whether they have money in reserve. Okay, whether they have a saving money in their home. Apakah masyarakat punya tabungan di rumahnya? So whether they have save money in their home, 60% here, 59.3% said they have no more save money in their home. Some claim they still have save money. Okay, who are they? Especially those whose income are less than 3 million rupiahs. Okay, claim, and even those whose income are less than 5 billion rupiah, about 74% still have save money. Okay, and how? And they say that they save money can only survive, okay, for 3 months or 2 months of their life if people do not get work or money from the job, or they are fired from the job, so they only can survive 2 or 1 month. So this is very sad. And this is my last point for this. And I'm wondering how people survive. It seems that, okay, when we ask whether have you ever sold assets or personal items to meet family needs, 52% said yes, we sell something to survive. Whether they sell land, jewelry, vehicles, electronics, computer, laptops, a freezer, and livestock for in the village, and other. So this suggests that the pandemic, 1-year pandemic, severely affected our society economically, and we cannot handle this more or too long. Or longer than this. Otherwise, we face great difficulties, and I'm very concerned about the political impact of this pandemic. Okay, and we have seen this in some other countries. Okay, Brunei is probably still in a good condition or better condition than Indonesia and Malaysia. And now in Malaysia, we have seen the what we call the political turmoil, okay, political dynamics. And in Indonesia, likewise, we see also the political movement behind the scene of this. And this is another thing. Have you ever taken third-party loans, okay, whether they borrow money from the third parties, and this suggests that more than 50% said they borrow money from the third party. Okay, so we see it seems that people apparently or looks very stable. Okay. Publicly they are okay, but when we dig deeper behind the scene, we have seen very interesting fact that we have to resolve. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, from these facts, I would like to highlight how people behave in response to this, and whether or not people feels or feel that they should be part of the problem solvers, okay, and what kind of engagement, what kind of solidarity they show in response to the situation, okay. Of course, there are donations in many places from different parties, zakat, infak, sodako, and so forth and so on. And today I just would like to highlight one interesting fact that I discovered from the type of benefactors or donation or donators or donors, okay, in response to the COVID. It seems to me that when I highlight the profile of the middle class, including Muslim middle class, who are engaged in resolving the problems, they enthusiastically donates to certain organizations, including philanthropic organizations. And we have seen the increase of the engagements of the millennials generation, okay, who are digital friendly and use a digital platform for donation. They donate small amount of money, okay, but the number of the donors from the millennial generations increase every every day, every week, every month. Yeah. Over time, the numbers of the donors from the millennials who donate small amount of money through the digital framework increased rapidly. This is interesting. And in this context, I would like to suggest that then we have to think what does solidarity means and what does social solidarity is in the era of the COVID-19 pandemic, especially how a digital platform can change the definition of social cohesion. Okay, so including among religious groups. Okay, and this is the situation that I believe will be very interesting to explore further, and how religious groups also work, how also pandemic changed the behavior of religious group, including Muslim volunteers. In my observation, a lot of Muslim volunteers who are proudly sharing their experience of helping other religious groups. Okay, there are some Muslim volunteers who are helping Christians who came to the church, and also clean the church, try to share with the Christian groups. Okay, and the Christian group also disseminate or distribute food, grocery to the Muslim communities, and Muslim communities help the Christian. So this is a new situation, because in the past, during the normal situation, Muslim and Christians or other religious group, their feelings are fulfilled by kind of kecurigaan. So we, but right now, we feel that dialogue is intensified during the pandemic, even between Muslim and Christians, with Muslim volunteers and non-Muslims. They can work together, and most importantly, they proudly say, we can work, we can help other religious groups. And this, what I call interfaith, okay, solidarity among Muslim groups or among Christians that we face in Indonesia. I think that's my brief presentation, Pak Shiva. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Professor Hilman, for enlightening presentation regarding how Indonesian, especially Muhammadiyah as Islamic mass organization in Indonesia, which is the biggest one in numbers, react and respond to the pandemic COVID-19. And I forgot to mention that Professor Hilman Latif is also the head of Muhammadiyah Philanthropic Board, which is called Lazismu. This is also a very professional philanthropic agency in Indonesia, which is recognized by the state as well. And he managed and he directed the Lazismu, especially also responding to the pandemic COVID-19. He gave a very beautiful example of Indonesian case, how Muhammadiyah respond to that, and also draw us to a bigger question regarding how the social cohesion can be strengthened through that kind of respond to the COVID-19, how religious groups within Muslims, among Muslims themselves, or interfaith religious respond to the pandemic COVID-19. That's also beautifully presented. Thank you very much for that presentation. And now is your turn. The audience can please raise your hands if you would like to express your question, to post your questions virtually or online here. And if you are more convenient with writing your questions through a chat room, please do that. And I see some hands are raised. First, I would like to invite Aci Solawati and also Wawan Nuri. Please be on cam and then post your questions to to whom, and please be brief. Go ahead, Aji. Your voice is unheard yet. It cannot be heard. Can you unmute or? Yeah, good.
Now?
Yep, better.
Thank you, Mr. Sifa. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, I am a student in postgraduate program, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. I have some of question, but I want to say I'm sorry the first time if in the end of my question it sound unnecessary or inappropriate, that we can skip it. I think it would be very nice if Indonesia has a policy like in Brunei Darussalam or Malaysia. Here in Indonesia, we still opening the airport with a small regulation, and also the tourism destination or shopping center and etc. until last month, but not schools and universities. In almost 2 years, that students haven't meeting their teachers. Believe or not, this is making their spirit and motivation going low, especially me as a student too. And as a teacher, I understand that the governance try to solve the education problem this day through the technology, like we have heard from Professor Nurhamimi. Maybe in high school or university, we can easily apply that. But in elementary school, some of us are teacher in elementary school, sir. So in elementary school, we have a main problem, that is using technology. Not every parent know how to use devices, especially for learning class. So this is important for students to meet their teacher. And about policy implementation here in Indonesia, not really consistent. I mean, the leader has some reason for that, but this is making people less scared about the pandemic. And in other hand, some people are very scared about death. Or they are say that we are in Indonesia already faced the earthquake, volcano, tsunami, LPG, traffic accident that caused a lot of death. Some people also talking about the conspiration, that there is a big conspiration beyond this pandemic. And people say, this is a pandemic or pandemic, or some people said there is no pandemic, no cuan, like that. And what do you think, sir? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mbak Aji Salawati. She is student of master program here in Islamic Studies, also teacher of elementary school in Yogyakarta or in Klaten, I forgot. And then second one, please, Mas Wawan Nuri, if you would like to be on cam and then ask your questions.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
First, thanks for the opportunity. Again, I'm here is a student of master degree of University Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, and then I work with children also in primary school. So my question is, during the pandemic, our school and maybe the whole schools in Indonesia conduct the learning or teaching by online, or we say daring. In primary school, children maybe we have some problem. The main problem is character building. With online learning, maybe we can find everything with Google, YouTube, and other online, what we can say, online things
Platform.
for also for learning or teaching, but maybe we miss. Children miss idols, or maybe the teacher cannot irreplaceable with parents. They miss their teachers. They need idolize, and for character building, it can be done with online learning. So how about this problem? That's all my question. Thank you, and I'm sorry if I have a lot of mistake.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mas Wawan, Mbak Aji. I think we have two questions for the first round, and then later on we will open another round for you to ask questions. For now, I would like to invite Professor Ahmad Yusuf, whether he has an idea to share with us of how Brunei experience regarding first, especially in terms of the education for primary or elementary schools, how they conduct the education, how to solve the problem regarding, because online learning cannot replace the offline learning in terms of character building as well. If you have any suggestion, any experience, any observation regarding that, please share with us, Professor Ahmad Yusuf. Can you unmute the volume first?
Oh, so sorry.
Okay.
Okay,
No
sorry.
problem.
Okay, thank you. Brunei, I think it's following the same as an international. When the COVID is hit the country, they have to go home, and they have to work from home. So school is all it's all closed, including our university. So there is policy of working from home. And that's including the school, kindergarten, and all these things, all shut. All right. So what to do? What the alternative? The Ministry of Education actually came with an alternative solution that there is a number of platforms to be used online to teach the students. I actually spoke with the director once, and I told him online teaching is very good for us, because give a little bit of freedom to the students to, the Malay culture is very quiet, and, teach in Arabic or in English. English is a little bit better. Students are very active to be in the class, to raise comment, do their homework and all these things. But in Arabic is Susa. It is very difficult. So I told him, I said, COVID, the online teaching is quite good because it's given a little bit of space to the students to express themselves. And he said, no, they don't like it. They like face-to-face, because teaching, specifically in Brunei, this is not Malaysia, not Indonesia, this is Brunei. The culture and the society is very close. There is no much room for youth and students to be like in Malaysia, like in Canada, like in other. It's a small country, small population, only 4 universities. And if the teaching online, then you really put the students in a hard position not to go and socialize and face the lecturers, come here to campus, go to canteen, go to the library, and so on. But that we said this is not up to the students, neither up to us, nor even up to the rector. It's up to the situation of COVID. And when COVID is the second time, okay? The second wave, they took up everything. So there is no question about it. You cannot see cases every day, and tons of them, tons. And this is reported in the media. We see them. This is like positive cases. Yesterday, 94. The day before, some 50, 60. How are you going to come to the class and learn when your neighbor or your friends or who has the virus? So actually, closing the educational institution, it is everywhere. Any rational person would agree with it. Student doesn't like it, it's too bad. Management doesn't like it, it's too bad. But you have to do it. You face death. So my opinion, and I fully agree, but there is no point to come to the class. Even when they start to open the restriction, I got teach last year. Then Brunei said, okay, Bane Kampong, you go to the class now. Whoa, you have to follow where to go, how to go. They put security everywhere, including in the classroom. I have, let's say, 50 students. Social distance must be in the classroom. I tell the students, move, go there. Like, you have to follow the restriction. So you really, like in education, it is a hardship. It is a hard time for everyone. But students also have to know they could gain knowledge, not only coming to the classroom. Actually, not only to come and meet me as a professor and talk to me and all these things. I could do this on WhatsApp group. I told the students, use WhatsApp as a tutorial. And if you have some personal question, open the camera, no problem. Or send me a voice message, no problem. And even there were students in Indonesia, I said, no problem. How to give me exam? No, I give you final exam. So now with the new modern technology and communication skills and even social media, we could use them for teaching. There is no problem. I hope I get a Brunei perspective.
Good, thank you. Can you also give a comment on whether this is also a question of Mahli in the chat room, Pak Nur Rohid, that also delivered by Ms. Acu Salawati regarding whether the pandemic is perceived by some Muslim groups in Brunei Darussalam as what's so-called conspiracy, pandemic instead of pandemic. They don't really believe in the COVID-19. Do you have any observation on that?
I do have observation. This kind of conspiracy everywhere in the world. It's not only in Brunei. There is certain individual who doesn't believe these things is coming, like, and they don't care about the whole, like the World Organization, United Nations, and all these things. It's fine. Until today, there are many people, they don't want to do the vaccine. And they said, this is because of vaccine gonna kill us. Like medical devices, they want to inject in our blood so they could know where we are and all these. All people, they have the freedom to think whatever they want to do. Brunei is same as a society. I cannot give you a guarantee 100% of the Bruneian believe that this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we have to deal with it. And this is actually the absolute majority of the people. This is the belief, this is calamity, it came. Some even go even further, saying this is a punishment from Allah because we did not worship him closely. We did not submit to him. And we did not pray tahajjud, we did not read enough Quran, we were thinking about this world, money, ana, Roma, Creta, and all Duwat, and all these worldly affairs, and we are away from him. That's why he gave us the virus to make him remember, to make us remember of him. And that's why they focus on dua, on tasbih, tahajjud, bacha Quran, Yasin, 24 hours, and including in my campus here. This morning we have tahleel online. We have more than 100, and this is not students, it's all staff, academic staff and management led by Rakta. It is not, oh, by the way, Maaf, it's because of the Kidai Rambut Tutub, so I don't have, to go and shave, but I'm not a member of Taliban. So Taliban now in Kabul. So I hope
you will be well received by Taliban by that period.
But I am actually more interested to listen to Dr. Latif
Okay.
on his presentation. It sounds like a very interesting philosophy and the survey he did in Jogja to the 3,000. You know, it is quite interesting, and I hope somebody will ask him questions so he will give us more information about his project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ahmad Yusuf. Dr. Khamimi? Yeah, if you can have some share your ideas on yes, it might be well suited and fit in the university setting in terms of online learning, but in terms of elementary or primary school, it's pretty hard, especially in Indonesian context, because the parents are not literate enough of the online devices, or they have many handicaps, deficiencies, difficulties in dealing with the digital world. What do you suggest?
Right, thank you very much, Dr. Shifa. So actually, Professor Ahmad Yusuf has shared with us Brunei experience. So I think most of the element and components mentioned by Prof. Ahmad Yusuf just now, we are applying that in Malaysia as well. But in terms of the first question from Sister or Miss Achi Solawati about pandemic, I guess the technology and acceptance and literacy, yes, we need to increase that technology literacy, right? And the thing is, right now, maybe I reckon, I assume, I anticipated that maybe before COVID-19, we are more into teacher-centered learning. That means it's kind of a spoon fed. Even in the university, even the students from a master or PhD, they are a little bit spoon fed. That means they are depends on their lecturer more than they are depends on their self. That's why when the COVID-19 came, when they are isolated from the lecture, they feel, oh my God, now the online learning take over. So they feel worry when their teacher are not in front of them. So in the chat box, I type here the three terminologies here, which are pedagogy, cybergogy, and heutagogy. So the first one is pedagogy. You need to enforce and empower the peer-to-peer first, right? So in the Dewan Kuliah or in the university lecture hall, the peer-to-peer is not that strong. Okay, the communication between peer and peer, okay, peers, among peers. So when this pedagogy of the peers to peers is quite strong, where even during the pandemic, even during online, even the discussion between the lectures will took 1 hour or 2 hours using Zoom or Microsoft Teams, but the 20 remaining hours will go in among them. That's why when my student, they ask me 2 a.m. in the morning or 3 a.m. in the morning, I don't reply, kenapa kamu tanya saya pagi-pagi ini? Why you are asking me at 2 a.m. in the morning?
Early morning.
In Arabic, we call mafish akhlaq. Sahih, Dr. Rizal, mafish akhlaq. No, I don't reply that, because this is the time where your student asks you, because right, I say they are hierarchy, they don't know that we don't know when they study. So when they ask in the 2 a.m. in the morning, the first message that coming from me, I have set one rules and regulation in my WhatsApp group. All questions coming from students are welcome. You can ask me 24/7 or 25/8, no problem. But first reply will be coming not from me, from my student. All responses will be coming from the student to the student. So right now, I am applying the heutagogy, where the pedagogy is good, peer-to-peers, then the self-determined learning or self-directed learning is good, whereby when they're isolated with the lecturers, they can still strengthen. They know what to do, they know where to find resources, they know where they want to refer. So this methodology can be applied using the information technology, or that's why I term here cybergogy. With the help of technology, you can strengthen from pedagogy to heutagogy, from the peer-to-peer to the self-determined learning. So when heterogogy is all about you appoint your student to be your co-pilot. The terms here is co-pilot. That means in one class, you have more than one lecturer. That means you can have 5 little Hamimi instead of 1 Hamimi. You have 1 big Hamimi here, but in my class, I also have my 5 co-pilot or 5 little Hamimi to be another Hamimi, to be the ambassador to the other students. So when one question comes to Hamimi, I will share the knowledge, share the responses, and share the validation of the knowledge. This is what lectures are all about. Okay, the responses from the student, how do they know that the responses are good enough or not? This is the role of the lecturer. So at the end of the story, we as a lecturer, we will validate. Okay, sudah ada 23 responses. There are 23 responses from 2 AM until 6 AM. So well done. Mumtaz, Mumtaz, Jayjudan, Makbul, Makbul. Okay, try again, try again, try again. Mumtaz, excellent. So student, oh, okay. Dr. Hamimi is everywhere. Even though it's an online class, Dr. Hamimi is everywhere. هو موجود في كل مكان، في كل مكان. هو موجود. هو موجود معنا أمامنا كأنه أمامنا الآن. Okay, it's like Dr. Hamimi is in front of us. That means, Dr. Hamimi, how do you know what I'm doing right now? Because I empower my student. So this is kind of the things that you need to empower your student, then online learning would be a big problem. Secondly, if I can speak in Malay, saya juga tidak beriman dengan 100% online learning itu. Why? Because there are some researches and studies, even in New Zealand, in UK, in US, in Australia, they don't even believe in 100% online learning. But the thing is blended learning, at-ta'allum al-mukhtalat. But the percentage, how can you determine how much you want to go 60-40, 50-50, 70-30, or even in engineering, in medical, is 80-20. That means 80 is practical, but 20 is theoretical. Okay, so you cannot, there is no, more often than not, there is no one size fits all. The thing is, no, there is no one size fits all. You cannot go blanket, right? But for elementary schools, I understand that in Malaysia also we have that kind of problem whereby the parents are not technology literate. So we go back to the conventional one. We do some kind of the module, this online open and distant learning module, pendidikan jarak jauh, okay, berbasis daring atau dalam jaringan. We call in Indonesia daring atau dalam jaringan. The module, you cannot imitate the conventional module. That means the textbook that you are using in the conventional setting, you cannot use that kind of book or textbook anymore. Why? Because that kind of a conventional setting textbook, you must, it must be assisted by the lecturer or by the teacher in elementary school. But this ODL or pendidikan jarak jauh or has applied in Indonesia in universitas terbuka. That means the module is quite comprehensive. If I can give you some kind of a simple analogy, let's say in my PowerPoint, I have 10 slides in my PowerPoint. But for ODL PowerPoint, I need to have 20 slides, not 10. Why? Because the transition from the first slide to the second slide, for example, 2 plus 2 equals to 4, right? The second slide, 2 plus 4 equal to 6. But in the middle of the first slide to second slide, normally the teacher will ask student, okay, do you understand 2 plus 2 means you put 2 and you add another 2, so equals to 4. So this is what you don't put in your slide, right? But in ODL setting, in online setting, you need to put whatever you mention, whatever you discuss with your student in the second slide before you transit to the third slide. So that means when your student in elementary school, when they receive the module, Bapak saya nggak paham ini, nanti ditanya Dr. Syifa. Sebelum ditanya Dr. Syifa, slide yang seterusnya sudah menjadi Dr. Syifa. That means Dr. Syifa already embedded in that module. until when we go through the modules, we don't have any question, because already all the FAQ, frequent asked question, that normally will be asked in the class already stated there in the module. Thank you very much.
Di-mute, Pak Siva.
Okay, thank you very much for the good example from Malaysia regarding the online education in elementary school as well, on how to conduct from peer cybergogy to what was so called Hyutagogy. This new thing for me, not from educational setting, but yeah, it's self-directed learning. That's more important in this online and digital world. And then Professor Hilman, if you like to comment as well regarding this online education, if you have any insight on that. Also, there is also a question from Pak Mahli regarding, for example, how do you react to some Muslim groups, Islamic groups who don't really believe in COVID-19, but they just do tawakal, do fatalism, and then they even try to resist unscientifically. They don't believe in science. What do you, if you have any comment on that as well? Please.
Yeah, I can give brief response to the questions. First of all, I would like to emphasize that this is a challenge for us, for the Muslim communities, for the largest Muslim communities in the world, what's it called, Indonesia, how we can deal with pandemic situation and try to resolve the problems. And this is also a challenge for the religious leaders, whether they are going to formulate discourse, debates, controversies, and strong statements, or whatever, or we are going to resolve the problems. Okay. Now we have to identify the problems. What kind of problems? Social problems, economic problems, educational problems, okay? About nutrition, about healthcare issues, how religion and religious institution can take their own part in this solution, okay? Belief or not belief, this is, I think, very overwhelmingly characterize some countries, especially in the Muslim world, okay? Because last week I was part of the seminar to compare between Pakistan and Nigeria and Indonesia. It seems that fake news, okay, and suspicion to the theories of what we call conspiracies. Well, I don't blame this kind of way of thinking, but I think it's better for us to think strategically, okay, instead of debating that's unknown information. Okay, some religious leaders talk about the conspiracy, despite the fact they do not have evidence, and even they can't describe how this conspiracy works. Instead, I appreciate those who are critical, okay, to the rules of the giant states, big countries who play a significant role in, let's say, producing a vaccine, okay, in controlling the developing countries to be more autonomous, in dealing with vaccine and so forth and so on. So sometimes we have to see fairness, encouragement, okay, from let's say many big countries to developing countries, how to make them more independent, more autonomous in managing themselves, okay, more self, self formulation of the solution. So this is important. So if, for example, once one country or one community try to produce vaccine, then WHO doesn't recognize this type of vaccine. Okay, you can only use this from Pfizer. You can only use from vaccine produced from major countries. Even we know that the Sinovac vaccine, or Sinovac in Indonesia, Sinovac vaccines in the beginning was not recognized by other international institutions. So this affected the way we also perform Hajj. Okay, because Hajj also use WHO's standard, with at the time probably didn't recognize certain type of vaccine. Of course, there are some political game in this context, right? And we cannot overlook this fact. Kita tidak bisa mengabaikan bahwa ini juga ada permainan politik. There's very big political game this, but at the same time, a religious group, civil society should also prioritize their energy to find a solution to resolve the problem they face in their daily life. Your friends, your colleagues, your brother, sister pass away. They died because of this COVID-19. And even those who disbelieve or not believe in this vaccine, or the pandemic, now pass away. Okay, some religious leaders, and this is very sad. Okay, and therefore this pandemic or this virus do not select whether you are a religious leader, whether you are a medical doctor, whether you are a professor, whether you are villagers. But when they are affected, they face a problem. Okay, they can be affected severely by the vaccine. Okay, and the second one is, and therefore I have my observation here. Let's say we talk about religious organization, including Islamic organization, because some Christian organization in United States also, or in Africa, in some other country, don't believe in this pandemic. Or they believe in the grand design of pandemic. Now I'm trying to compare between religious institution and religious authorities in the mosque or in religious organization whose leaders do not believe in this virus COVID-19. Okay. But at the same time, we found that some Muslim philanthropic organizations, some Muslim hospitals or Islamic hospitals, some Muslim social organization or association seriously work to protect society, okay, by providing different platforms, okay, to protect the healthcare, okay, the welfare, and they safety. Okay. My question is, what is different between religious institution, religious leaders, and religious philanthropic organization? Why Muslim philanthropic organization act more rationally to compare with those who in charge in the mosque? Why? Why people who chair a mosque, some mosques in Indonesia, for example, I don't want to bring another case. This because we have a lot of examples. Don't believe in the COVID-19, But at the same time, there's some Muslim social organization seriously take into account this COVID-19. Pertanyaan saya adalah, mungkin takut tidak salah, kenapa orang-orang pimpinan agama, termasuk yang mimpin masjid, tidak percaya dengan COVID? Mereka lebih percaya pada yang lain-lain, ya, tidak percaya dengan penyakit ini, tetapi organisasi Islam, organisasi kesehatan Islam, rumah sakit Islam, lembaga filantropi Islam, lembaga sosial Islam bersikap lebih rasional dalam melindungi masyarakatnya. What is the gap? Apa jarak yang membedakan cara berpikir sebagian kecil ulama atau pemimpin agama itu dengan organisasi-organisasi Islam yang di bawahnya? Mengapa cara berbeda mereka sangat berbeda? Contradictory. Okay, so this is my reference. I'm thinking how to understand the situation, and in my view, and the fact is that pemimpin-pemimpin agama itu sangat dekat dengan masyarakat bawah, sementara mereka berpikir seperti itu. Okay, nah, sementara organisasi-organisasi yang serius mengelola COVID-19 itu sebagai sebuah manajemen untuk menanggulangi bencana, itu juga kadang-kadang punya keterbatasan, mempengaruhi masyarakat. Nah, ini kalau tidak serius kita tangani, it's very dangerous. Okay, so I use bahasa Indonesia just to emphasize my wonder, kenapa beda pemimpin agama dengan organisasi agama dalam memikirkan COVID. So that's my response. Thank you, Pak Shiva.
Thank you very much, Pak Hilman, for give us a homework of for thinking about that. That's very important question, I think, for every one of us to think about, because Islamic mass organization, Islamic institutions, the hospitals are working so hard to scientifically overcome this disease, but some local mosques, especially, they don't really believe in COVID-19, but they have grassroots outreach, and they can invite, they can provoke, they can direct where the mass go. That's a very interesting question that for us to do research on, hopefully in some time in the near future. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Hilman, and we will have another round of question, which is the last one. So please take this opportunity. I see Nasir Abdul Ghani raising his hands, and also there is also one in the chat room who also posed question that I will read later on. But for the first opportunity, I will give to Nasir Abdul Ghani. He is the student of Master Program of Islamic Studies here in MIAI, but right now he is currently in Libya, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Go ahead.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi and good morning, everybody. I am Nasr Ali Idris. Yeah, I am Nasr Ali Idris. I am a student at Ahmadi University, Jakarta, master degree. Yeah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My question is for school, permit school, and its school, how we can make education more fun for kids during the Corona-19, and then for online school. Then another question, how different between private school and public school? And then because sometimes public school, they don't have more technology for kids, how we solve this problem for public school. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nasir, for the questions. And is there any other one, and any other attendees here who want to pose a questions? Please raise your hand. Pak Arif Budi, please be on cam and then ask your questions. Pak Arif Budi, are you with us? I see that your hand is raised. Do you want to pose your questions here? If not, I'll read the question from the chat room. There is one question from Universitas Muhammadiyah Surakarta from Arfa Bakhtiar. He is asking, what is the policy of... Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr.
Okay,
Siva.
Pak.
Okay,
Pak
just now I can
Arif.
unmute my speaker.
Okay.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
I almost cancel because it was part of answer have I hear from the speaker. And however, I was very impressed with the presentation of the speakers. And my question is, according to my field in education, Islamic education, how your opinion about, or how do you your view more detail about the impact of the pandemic on education outcome? Is it too terrible or too threatening, and primarily or especially to the development of morality or development of morality in our student, as have mentioned before from the penanya sebelumnya, especially in elementary school. What if it will continue this pandemic, or is it profitable? Because as previously mentioned or shown by Professor Ahmad Yusuf, by quoting Imam Al-Ghazali, Imam Al-Ghazali statement that there is wisdom in its pandemic, namely that we are reminded by Allah that everything is under His takdir, so that we are ordered to more close to Him. How about this, especially in the dimension of morality or spirituality of our student? How if it pandemic will to continue? Thank you. That is my question, Mr. Siva. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Pak Arif. Maybe regarding, and the third question that I mentioned earlier is that about the Islamic economy. I will continue to read the question. What is the policy of Islamic economic law in your country, especially in Brunei and Malaysia, in dealing with pandemic? So maybe we can adopt that policy in Indonesia regarding Islamic economy law, if you can answer that as well. Okay, for the first opportunity, I would like to give, because it's related to the field of education, Professor Dr. Hamimi, if you are still with us. Maybe you can give some light on whether there is any difference between private and public school in Malaysia regarding this public school on regarding the online learning, and how to make online learning more fun, as Nasser mentioned, and also Pak Arif question regarding how about the morality, the character, is how to make sure that the character education is also implemented in this kind of situation. You mentioned earlier probably regarding how the lack of adab when the students send in the early morning, but you can elaborate more detail on that as well. So please, first opportunity to Dr. Hamimi to share his thought on this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shifa. So I will share my thoughts about question from Brother Nasir Abdul Ghani. Okay, the first one is the differences between public school and private school in Malaysia. So I guess in terms of the syllabus, muqarrar and academic they are quite different, differentiate in sense of maybe some of the private school, they are implementing the curriculum maybe from Malaysia per se, maybe curriculum from international for Arabic school, maybe they are implementing from Al-Azhar, from Mesir, from Jordan, from Saudi. But in terms of this pandemic, both of them are dealing or following same rules and regulation from the Ministry of Higher Education as well as Ministry of Education. So there is no difference between the business hours. Most of them are using right now daring or PDPR, pembelajaran dan pengajaran dari rumah. So teaching and learning from home. And for teaching and learning more fun. So maybe some of the researchers they propose to use edutainment or didik hibur, using games, not a serious game or game-based learning, but it is more towards gamification. Gamification here, that means you put the you gamify your teaching and learning. But we don't need any PS4, PS5, PlayStation. No, we are not talking about Xbox 360, but we are talking about the mechanism of games. We are talking about rewards. We are talking about levels. We are talking about challenges. We are talking about levels, mastery. If this kind of a gamification mechanism you can put in your teaching and learning, even without using Kahoot, without using quizzes, you can gamify and make your teaching and learning fun. I once, when I with the elementary school, I thought share with my practical teachers in school, whereby in Zoom we can use only 2 whiteboards in our Google Meet. 2 whiteboards. One group will have their own whiteboards. If you have 4 groups, you need to have 4 we call whiteboard in your Google Meet, or in your Zoom also you have whiteboard. So me in my home, I just use my whistle. We have 4 groups. We have 4 questions right now. We have 4 groups. So the instruction must be made very, very clear. The first, all groups must answer 4 questions. Ajib anil jami' al-as'ila. 4 questions. And then use my whistle. When I blow my whistle, they will go to question 1. They will start discussing in their private room or their breakout rooms. In Zoom, they discuss and they will say, okay, doctor, finish. Now 1 minute. So I put the timer here. I put the timer there. After 1 minute, now go to question 2, question 3, and question 4. And after we finish, how about that? Oh, Dr. Mimi, this is great, man. This is even greater from our face-to-face session, because the learning is so fun, and we always stay in front of our PC waiting for another session. What will happen in the next class? What will happen, Dr. Mimi? Surprise! The second session, I will go for another. So tidak memerlukan modal apa-apa, hanya kreativiti kita, al-ibdaiyah. Fahadhihi al-ibdaiyah. So the creativity differentiate us between human and robot, human and technology. Because technology, they cannot replace human. Why? Because they don't have creativity, they don't have sympathy, and they don't have empathy. So answering your question, if you can put sympathy, empathy and creativity in your learning and teaching, inshallah, the morality, the akhlaq al-mahmuda will come later on. Of course, when you go back to your learning outcome with and morality, you don't need SME alone. Subject matter expert. No, you must import helicopter people in from psychology as well. Psychology, education psychology. If you teach Sirah Nabawiyah, people from Sirah Nabawiyah alone, there will be not enough. people from educational, from instructional technology, from psychology must be put into place. Then you will see another set of a very great and what I call attractive curriculum and very dynamic one for your student. And the second one, in order for us to bring the more fun teaching and learning, you need to ask your student first what they want. Not what we want, but what the students want. Okay, from this what student want, then you cater and facilitate from there. Now we teach student based on what we want. Wallahu alam. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hamimi. Student-centered learning and collaborative learning and make it more fun. That's also some of the keys that we can learn from what presented by Dr. Hamimi. Professor Ahmad Yusuf, if you would like to share your thought as well on how this kind of online learning still can develop our characters, our students' characters, mentality, and so on. Please share some thought with us.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Actually, in my opinion, it is not normal in the educational history system that, you know, from the early days of our Islamic tradition until today, and we still actually having the Pandok in Malaysia and Pesantren in Indonesia. So we still have in the Muslim world some traditional institution method of learning. So this new technology, online learning and all these things, it is, I would say, temporary. It's not going to probably be for good. It will eventually, probably not now, probably in 10, 15 years, the whole world will be digital. So whether you have your smart phone and you could have your class in front of you and you're on the bus, your final exam, you could write it any time in the day and night. You don't have to meet person to person with the lecturers or something like that. I have the feeling that the world is moving towards this direction. Now, the current use of technology for online learning, it is good that we have this kind of privileges to communicate with our students and to continue our, you know, we start the semester here is normal, and suddenly COVID came and everything is closed. So I'm actually have no problem with the temporary use of technology, and inshallah, I think it will be good.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, hopefully it's not last for good, not last long, so we can have another offline learning in the near future, hopefully, inshallah. And then Professor Hilman, if you'd like to share your thoughts as well, especially the last question regarding the transformation of Islamic economy, because Professor Hilman is also the head of Islamic economic lecturers, ADESI, we call it Sharia economics lecturers in Indonesia. If you can have some thoughts as well on the changing of Islamic economy or Islamic philanthropy, and then from the pre-pandemic to post-pandemic, if you can comment on that as well.
Yeah.
Or you are free to comment on the education as well.
Yeah, first off, I have to comment for this. First one is about the Islamic economic response to the pandemic. This is a very great question, because now we are looking for a kind of formula how Islamic economics can work during the pandemic, and what do we mean by Islamic economics. But if we talk about the source of financial source of social fund, for example, in Islam, of course we have to look for the capacity and potential of zakat, infaq, sadaqah, and waqf, and how Muslims now are challenged to manage those zakat wakaf in fact more professional way, okay, more professional way with governance, very good governance, accountability, and vision. Because sometimes in the Muslim world, zakat, infak, sadaqah is the matter of worship, just ibadah, okay, not a very big business. Sometimes they not relate zakat, infak, sadaqah with the issues of the healthcare, issues of the governance, issue of the future generation, issues of the increasing capacity, increasing human resource, and therefore it's just matter of worship. And in this situation, we do realize that even when we help somebody affected by Islamic social fund, we are not simply distributing groceries, okay, food, but also we are thinking of how to finance their education, how we can create a scholarship system, a scholarship scheme, okay, designed for those affected by economically by this pandemic, including what kind of designs to protect their social security by, for example, providing a small grant, a small fund to continue small business in our society. And we need, of course, more Muslims, activists who are knowledgeable about management, okay, about the visions of Islamic economics. And that's one point. The second point is, of course, the role of Islamic financial institution like Islamic Bank or should also have strong kind of social business in managing bank, because so far what we call Islamic Bank is also not different from commercial and conventional banks. Different is just about the contract, different types of the contract. But how about the social vision? Do Muslim bank or Islamic bank have a stronger social vision than conventional bank? Okay, and this also should be raised and reformulated. And I believe we need more mujtahid. Okay, sometimes Muslims activists, even Muslims economists, do not want to create new ijtihad. Okay, and how actually Muslim Islamic teaching from worship, from Islamic economics to new ijtihad, where what we call Islamic economics can be meaningful for society, can foster justice, can reduce the economic gap, can help poor people, and so on and so on. But sometimes we need a radical ijtihad, okay, and even in defining zakat. Okay, that's one. And the last one is about education. This is also a challenge for Muslim communities where we live in a comfort zone for many years. Okay, we believe that we are focusing on building character. The way we teach is also very traditional. Okay, and we realize we are challenged by this situation. We are not ready to face this new era. And even when people talk about 4.0, to be honest, Muslims communities in many countries are left behind before the pandemic. Now the situation was accelerated by the pandemic, and we realized we need more Muslim, what you call it, activists as well as teachers who are knowledgeable and digital friendly. Okay, who can manage this. Okay, the way they teach at school should also be transformed into digital way. And my last point is probably we have to think that building character should not be realized on school. Okay, building character, we should bring back bringing character from school to our home in the meantime, because sometimes we we send our children to school, and okay, the parents, okay, is everything is at the hand of the teachers. Okay, so we have to rethink this kind of thinking, and we should take into account or seriously that our children is in the hand of the parents, including in strengthening or building their character, not the responsibility of teachers only. I think that's my comment. I'm not an expert in education. Thank you so much. Alhamdulillah. Shukran.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, all speakers, for a beautiful presentation, insightful lesson that are shared with us. And before I end our session, if any of the speakers or each of the speakers would like to give the concluding remark, or please, I will invite every speakers to give the concluding remark. Professor Yusuf, if you have any thought.
I don't have anything except thank you very much. جزاكم الله خيرا. بارك الله فيكم. ويعني الحمد لله was very good gathering. Even with COVID, we managed to get very good session إن شاء الله. بالتوفيق.
وإياكم. Thank you. الصحة والعافية أيضا لكم يا Prophet, يا أستاذ.
آمين.
Professor Dr. Khamimi.
Okay, thank you very much UMY for this kind of invitation. So like Prof. Hilman Latif, I agree with him. Between this pandemic, let's not talk about whether it's pandemic or pandemic. Once the pandemic attack your family, then you will know it's a pandemic or it's a pandemic. Okay. At the beginning, I also believe that it is a pandemic. When it's attacked my family, okay, to 20, 30 of them, then I know it's not COVID-19 is real. COVID-19 is real. Right? So let us, the thing is right now, don't talk about pandemic or pandemic, but what is our plan? What is our plan towards that pandemic? We are talking about behaviorism, constructivism. We are talking about cognitivism and connectivism. This is what happened in 1,400 years back when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with Jibril alayhi salam. Rasulullah read. Jibril asked, "Iqra, ma'ana biqari." This is behaviorism already. Okay. This is behaviorism already. Why we depends on Piaget and Skinner and Watson. And cognitivism, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wafat, Sahaba, Salafus Saleh, this is cognitivism. With the Quran and Sunnah, they merge, they go spread the knowledge. Okay, when the Salafus Saleh already left us, we have tabi'in, tabi'in. This is what constructivism is all about. Why we rely on Vygotsky anymore? We have our own Islamic model. And right now, with the ijtihad from the ulama, we are more into towards connectivism by Seaman, Josh Seaman, as well as Stephen Downes. So actually, they're talking about connectivism, behaviorism, cognitivism, and constructivism. We have our own model actually. We have Al-Ghazali, we have Shafi'i. Shafi'i not just from fiqh, but for education also. We have our own model, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Khamimi. Pak Hilman.
Yeah, my short statement is probably we need further step, to preserve these issues by strengthening a partnership. Let's say to make a small survey in the Islamic school or Islamic education institution in the Brunei Darussalam, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, or here also in Libya. Some students are still staying there. And also here from the participants from Turkmenistan, from Thailand. And I believe we can try to portray, to give a big portraits of big pictures of how Muslim educational institutions responds to the pandemic, okay? Again, from a teacher's perspective, teacher's effort, perception, difficulties in managing this situation and so forth. And I believe it would be more comparative studies in concrete way between these two institutions. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much. We learned a lot from this wonderful discussion. Professor Yosef already gave us an example of how Brunei managed the pandemic COVID-19 in Brunei from the government policy perspective in terms of the inspired by Islamic values, how to govern the society, to give some restriction on the people's activities, and then how also the discipline of the society and the government themselves in terms of how to implement the health protocols to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 in Brunei, which is one of the better or the best example in Southeast Asian country. And also from Dr. Hamimi, we learned a lot how we need to adapt to this new environment, and especially in the field of education. Yes, technology is not everything, but we need to learn new pedagogy, not from the peer pedagogy to cybergogy to heutagogy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, student standard learning is very important, and that's new environment we need to adapt to that environment. And hopefully the character building in the mental character of the students can also be cultivated through this kind of limited means of technology of digital learning. And from Professor Hilman, we learned a lot as well of how we need that this pandemic also give a positive impact in terms of the social and the community respond to that, the social and the community responses to the government, because the solidarity is strengthened. Also, the financial institution, Islamic financial institution, need to have a new thought, a new ijtihad on not only focusing on the Sharia contract base, but also the social vision of the Islamic institution, because we need that social vision of the Islamic institution to build our society. Thank you very much, and I will end with also one word from the Al-Ghazali, Abu Hamid Al-Ghazali. He used to say when he is facing this kind of musibah, the disaster, he once used to say it, "Laisa fil imkan abda mimma kan." So in this, there is no wonderful or beautiful in these possibilities except what that has been occurring, what we are facing. So we are facing the pandemic. This is what the beautiful thing that happened is depending on how we react and respond to the difficulties. And hopefully we can get through it, and we will be a better person, better society, and better civilization, inshallah, in the near future. Thank you very much. I would like to end this session and by saying basmalah, by saying hamdalah together. Let's say hamdalah together. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. I apologize for any mistakes, and thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we will see you all in the near future in the similar discussion, inshallah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Give it back to the
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shukran kathiran, shukran Sheikh Yusuf.
Thank you very much to all speaker and moderator.
Dr. Habibi, shukran.
Terima kasih.
Kembali Bapak, kembali.
Wonderful discussion today. Thank you.
Ayo foto bareng dulu.
Oh ya, foto dulu. Oke.
Silakan on cam dan kita foto bersama. Mana Mas Satria? Or the organizer, can you take a picture of us?
The new normal, abnormal. The way we take a picture is abnormal.